Three, two, one.
Welcome, Tamara, to episode 6 of the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
A pleasure for me. Nice to see you again.
Yeah,
after so
likewise,
long.
likewise. So for those tuning in, today we have Tamara Ghazi, who's the co-founder, medical director, and holistic chiropractor at the Diversified Integrated Sports Clinic, DISC, based in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
And Kuwait City.
And Kuwait City.
And Kuwait City.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
3
awesome.
places now. So.
Okay, awesome. Is that a new...
No, it's been 5 years actually, but.
Okay, I had no idea.
But it was actually our second location.
Okay.
And then we opened JLT and then Abu Dhabi.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought Dubai was your first one.
It was the first one.
Okay.
10 years ago.
Sure.
So we've been 10 years now operational at DISC.
Okay.
And then slowly expanding into the region, trying to push as much as we can preventative healthcare and musculoskeletal healthcare.
Awesome.
So that people have a completely different outtake on pain and their body.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll dive right in. Well, first, maybe we can start by introducing yourself and your background and how you got into all of this.
So I was born and raised here. I'm Iraqi Palestinian. I studied in Canada and the US. I practiced there for a few years. But I've always had this passion for healthcare. I always wanted to do some kind of medicine.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned growing up is I never really wanted to do sick care.
Sure.
I don't know why. Just even as a kid, I always used to go. I used to hate going to the doctor.
Yeah.
I never understood, why. And then they would like take this.
Yeah.
And my parents would be like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Why
Shoving
don't you
everything
question
in.
it? Yeah. And I was always quite active, and I loved, movement, and I loved understanding much, and I loved human touch more than anything. And I realized the power of connection and touch.
Absolutely.
And it's always so hard when you're so young to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. But I knew I wanted to do something in medicine. And I had a family member who was in healthcare, and he actually retired really early. And he always used to tell me, being in sick care is so stressful because you don't only take people's sickness, you also take their emotions.
Absolutely.
You take everything.
Absolutely.
So I kind of came across chiropractic, like it fell into me. And, when they tell you, that was how it was.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I saw the beauty of the profession where you're able to help people with your hands. And it became so much more over the last few years, So
No, that's awesome. Good for you.
That's how I started,
Yeah, no, good for you. I think it's super important to, first follow your heart.
Yeah.
Do something that you're genuinely passionate about.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and every day I wake up and it doesn't feel like a job,
There you go.
I feel so excited to go to work. Yes, we all have our struggles when it comes to working in a corporate environment.
Of course.
Other than that, the beauty of being with my patients, being with my colleagues, being with an amazing team, it really makes me so happy. So.
100%. No, I totally agree. I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than doing something that you genuinely love on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it doesn't really feel like work.
Yeah.
So instead of saying like, oh, I got to go to work now, it's like, oh, I'm excited to go to work. Like you're energetic, you're happy, you're helping people. I think that's fantastic.
Especially when you make an impact, I think the most important thing is when you leave your day feeling like you've actually made a difference. And I think a lot of people maybe haven't found that purpose in their life where you can do anything. It doesn't have to be healthcare, but for what you do
whatever
also.
It is, whatever
but as
it
long
is.
as you leave on a daily basis, feel like you've made a difference in someone's life,
100%.
I think that's the most, profound thing for me.
100%. I think if it aligns with your heart, with your soul, and it helps people, then I think you found your thing,
Thank
right?
you.
Yeah, of course. I guess the next question I had was, what services does DISC offer for those tuning in case they want to maybe visit the clinic or they're looking to get some help? So what do you guys offer exactly?
You can hear just from the name DISC, actually. We're lucky we abbreviated to DISC.
Right.
But,
what's funny? I thought DISC was DISC when I first,
Everyone thinks it's the name. But the reason it was amazing how it came together. But originally, we really started off as a sports medicine clinic. And we still are very much musculoskeletal based. But we're actually starting to really grow into more preventative and the wellness space. And so many people are doing wellness nowadays. And what really is wellness to all of us is something different. But for me, I approach it from the longevity, from the pro-aging angle, and we're here to make people feel better.
Right.
Pain is an emotion, pain is a feeling, and so as a sports medicine clinic, it's not only sports injuries, but all injuries are movement or lack of movement.
Right. Yeah.
So we treat mainly physical pain.
Sure.
But with that comes a lot of other, emotional pain, a lot of nutritional coaching, a lot of movement coaching, a lot of lifestyle coaching.
Yeah.
And we're starting to dive into different angles to help expand kind of the services we offer. But in basics, We do family medicine, sports medicine, very soon orthopedics, chiropractic,
Cool.
physiotherapy, osteopathy, massage therapy, everything related
Sure,
to the
sure.
physical space.
Awesome.
And there isn't really a patient base. Like every human is our patient because
Yeah.
every human has pain.
Yeah.
So you can be a child, you can be an infant, you can be an athlete, you can be a person over 60,
Right.
somebody who is, really curious about how to age well and
Yeah.
how to be able to be independent in your body.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important
Absolutely.
thing.
No, I think that's it's beautiful the way you put that because it's absolutely true.
Thank you.
You mentioned family medicine.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
So family medicine is your basic doctor that you would go to check, your blood work.
Like a
or-
GP,
Like a
maybe?
GP.
Okay,
Like a GP,
okay.
yeah. But our GPs are more specialized in wellness. So in, pain management and in preventative medicine.
Okay.
So people go and say, I'm feeling like I have hormonal issues or
Right.
like I'm always tired or I have, back pain or anything related to more what we do.
Right.
Not only like, oh, my throat hurts,
Sure,
they can
sure.
do that, but we're much more focused on the wellness and on the pain management
Right,
side.
right. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then, well, I guess you kind of answered this. I had a question written down here. What is a holistic chiropractor?
Yeah.
But I think you kind of touched on that
Well,
already.
I think I've delved more into being a holistic chiropractor because a lot of people think of chiropractic as like cracking bones.
Yeah,
that's it,
that's what I think of it.
And I tell, a lot of my patients, they'll know when you come into my treatment, the adjustments are honestly 1% of what I do. They're
Yeah.
so powerful
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
amazing.
I've been to one of your
Yeah,
sessions,
you
actually, if you
have.
remember.
Yeah.
By the way, it was fantastic.
Thank you.
I remember going to your session, feeling great during the session.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's something about physical touch that actually feels good, right?
It's energy exchange.
It's energy exchange. And then
energy
it's
exchange,
also, when you're doing it out of like with love as well, I felt some
Thank you.
energy connection that
Yeah.
day. And you also have like the strongest
Yeah.
fingers ever. So yeah, no, honestly, it was, I felt something that day.
It's energy connection. Thank you. And it's also, a lot of even medical practitioners discredit massage, but
Yeah.
massage is just increasing blood flow. But you're exchanging energy,
Yeah.
you're building trust.
Yes.
And honestly, in medicine, the most important thing is listening to a patient. Like
Yes.
you can come in and I can see what's wrong on the biomechanics side.
Right.
But how did you get there? I need to listen to your story, understand who you are as a person, what you do in your daily life, how you move, how
Yeah.
you train, how you sleep, to understand why you're getting those injuries.
Absolutely.
So that's where the holistic part comes in
Yes.
because there's so much more than just only adjusting someone.
Yes.
There is the muscle work, there is the training, there's the
Yes.
coaching, there's, you're someone who's super active, but maybe you forget sometimes.
Yeah,
and I tell you,
absolutely.
you need to slow down or maybe you need to do
Absolutely.
a bit more mobility work or you need to
Absolutely.
sleep better or maybe you're not
100%.
hydrating as much. Or
100%.
There's so many different aspects to musculoskeletal health and
Yeah.
we can't just look at, I see a lot of chiropractors like you're in and out in 5 minutes and yeah, some patients are happy with that,
Right.
they need that.
Sure.
But generally, like we're such complex beings
Right.
and you can't diminish everything to one thing.
Absolutely.
And that's my approach to healthcare. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And it's totally true because, the whole holistic aspect of things, like for example, me, myself, back in the day, I would look at things very individualized,
Yeah.
very separate or separated from
Yeah.
each other, disconnected from each other. And then as, I started to dig into, the whole holistic space,
Yeah.
I figured actually, pretty much everything is connected.
Everything is connected.
So you can't really look at things so zoomed in
Yeah.
and individually. I think it's more about zooming out
Yeah.
and simplifying things as opposed to diving in and complexifying them.
Yeah, and the human body is actually simple. Like our systems can be so complex,
Yeah.
but we all function almost the same way.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us also, we learn from experience. I've been
Yeah.
working for now almost 15 years and all throughout my practice, I learned so much from my patients,
Yeah,
more than
awesome.
I can ever learn from any textbook because
Awesome.
you study so much in
Yeah.
school and you come in, I learn something new every day.
There you go.
And
First-hand
even
experience.
as a practitioner, I'm a
Yeah.
forever student,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
from seeing patients. And that's one of the reasons a lot of my patients tell me, how do you do it? Like you have a business and
Yeah.
how are you running that?
Yeah.
And you're working, 5 to 6 days a week. And honestly, I have the best team that does the back end because
Awesome.
I hate managing.
Right.
I hate it.
Sure, sure.
I love being on the floor. I love
Right.
learning. I love
Awesome.
listening. I love understanding what's in the market.
Yeah.
And it's also important to know how to grow and how to evolve.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in a market that's growing so quickly.
Yeah.
So it's also really important to know what do patients want. People travel, and especially in a place like Dubai where people are so knowledgeable. You have such different diversity in culture. People have been exposed to so many different things. So it's important for me to know also what's out there. What do people want?
Right.
And how could my practice also evolve based on my patient who's also my consumer?
Right.
So it's really, really important to understand that. So I absolutely love it. And yeah, the more I also experience, the more I train, the more I expose myself, the more I learn what works for me and what may also work for my patient.
Right.
So I think that's something that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually, we also just touched on this point as well. I think we're one step ahead of the schedule. Yeah, actually, I kind of touched on this just now, but I wanted to expand on it just a little bit more. And it's the whole concept of how nowadays modern medicine, whether you call it Western medicine or modern medicine.
Traditional medicine.
So there's traditional medicine and there's the modern medicine, right? People call it Eastern Western, traditional modern, whatever you like to call it. And like I just said earlier, sometimes it can get a little too specific, right? So like, let's say you have, whatever it is, let's say you have pain in your hips, for example, right? Or pain anywhere. Typically, a person that's not into the whole holistic space, for example, might say, hey, you know, I have a hip problem. I'm only going to consider going to a hip specialist. Or like if they have a knee problem, I'm only going to consider going to a knee specialist, which makes sense, right? That's the typical way of seeing things, right? You go to a very specialized person for that knee. But then when you zoom out a little bit, you'll start to realize that everything could be connected. So you could have hip pain from different things, maybe not specific like damage or like bone or tissue. Could be, for example, unprocessed trauma, for example, that is stored in the hips, can manifest as physical symptoms as well. That's something that I had no idea of before. And now I'm kind of finding out that that's actually quite the case. So I just wanted to...
That's I think, what we say more, you can call it modern medicine. It's funny though, because for me, modern means people now in this day and age should know a lot more about. And I worked with some amazing, you know, orthopedics and traditional doctors that are really amazing. You know, they understand a lot more about human biomechanics. They understand that you can't isolate a joint. Like for me, I get a lot of people with elbow pain, and I'm like, it's probably your shoulder, actually. The poor mobility in your shoulder is what's creating tennis elbow. Or, you know, the fact that you're playing paddle, you're not able to open up your shoulder. That's what's creating. So we look at the system as a whole. But unfortunately, the problem with medicine is a lot of people don't value medicine. And if you look, I don't want to dive into this now, but people want free healthcare. They want great healthcare for free, unfortunately. This is the mentality.
Are you talking about Dubai or
all over the world?
All over the world.
I think all over the world. There are people that are ready to spend on their health, but the thing is, with the way insurance companies have come in, like you never go to a restaurant and say, I want free food, you know? But you go to healthcare, it'd be great. You know, I'd love that. I'd love to go to Zoom and be like, I deserve free food. But with insurance and with the way healthcare is, people want good healthcare for free. So the healthcare system is a little bit overloaded. And if you think about every practitioner's dream is, I want to see like 8 to 10 patients a day. You know, that's the dream. Spend an hour with every patient. But how do I pay my bills if I get to do that, right? You're gonna, it's value for money. So it's interesting. But that's the problem, is that I find the healthcare system a little bit so overloaded that in a way doctors become like a machine and the patient becomes like a number, which is really horrible. And unfortunately, it's just really hard to educate and to balance people and to teach them that, no, you should value your healthcare. You should value paying out of pocket for quality care. There's a time and a place for everything. You have a big hospital, and some healthcare can be so expensive. And that's why for us, we try to make it available to everyone. But unfortunately, it's very hard to look at a patient holistically when you're pressed for time, you know, and you're pressed for volume. Like sometimes I see, you know, 12 to 14 patients a day. Imagine exchanging that connection with someone. I try not to do that anymore, but it's really hard when you have to support a system and you have to support a team. And luckily, we're in private healthcare and we don't have that load of volume like hospitals do, because I know there are doctors in hospitals that have to meet a certain quota or they have to see like 40 patients a day, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
So how do you expect them to be holistic, right? Like they're going to look at the knee and say, okay, yeah, no, you know how ACL damage, your
Right.
meniscus is fine, it's probably your quads, go to physio.
Sure.
So it's really hard in that environment. I don't blame the doctors, I blame
Right.
the system.
Right. Right.
And I think that's why there needs to be a lot more education on the patient front to
Right.
value a service, just like you would for your clients.
Absolutely.
Value the service so that I can also give you quality care. I can give you time.
Yes.
And I can give you my energy. I can give you my
Yes.
attention. I can
Yes.
give you my follow-ups.
Yes.
And that's something that's a little bit broken, but I totally agree with you. And, especially in this day and age, we're such complex beings.
Absolutely.
We're exposed to so much. We're not only, undergoing physical stress, we undergo emotional stress, we undergo mental stress, we
Yeah.
undergo so much that
Right.
you can't look at pain only, as a one point.
Very zoomed in.
Yeah, and like most of the people I see, for example, neck pain is super emotional and super stress related
Okay.
because all your cervical muscles are your accessory breathing muscles.
Yeah.
But when we're stressed, we're like tensing and
Right.
we're breathing a lot from our neck, so people are getting chronic neck pain.
Right.
And it's
right,
not
right.
that you have trauma to the neck. It's
Sure,
because you're actually super stressed out. Your
Yeah,
biomechanics
absolutely.
are not great. You're not
There you
moving
go.
regularly. We're sitting all day behind the computer.
Yes.
So teaching someone how to change that, but that takes time.
Absolutely.
And that takes connection and that takes
Absolutely.
education, much more than
100%.
just treating. So
100%. And that's something I also have discovered in my line of work. So personal training, it's called personal
Yeah.
for a reason.
Exactly.
Because it needs to be personal.
Yeah. It needs to be customized.
It needs to be customized. It
And
needs to
tailored
be
to the person,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, for example, I've had a couple times where a few clients would come to me and say, "Hey, can I train with my friend? Can I train with my husband, my wife, my partner?" I'd say, "Look, I mean, you guys technically can, but I would genuinely recommend that you take them take separate sessions." For your sake,
Yeah.
because it's like we just said, it's better to be personalized, and so that I can treat each client to their individual needs. People have different strengths, different weaknesses, different goals, different dietary preferences, requirements, different levels of motivation.
Yeah.
So I think when you really personalize things and also give it your 100% time and effort and
100%.
from the bottom of your
Yeah.
heart, that's when I think you can do your best work.
100%. And
Yeah.
I think with our job, a lot of what I do is similar. I'm
Yeah.
going to do the similar release I would do on you with someone else, obviously in different areas depending on the pain. But what
Yeah.
personal is the attention I give the patient.
Yes.
And I realize sometimes when I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed and I'm not focused and present, my patients don't recover the same way. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
They're so much happier and they're so like the next session they'll come back, they're like, oh, I would feel amazing. And I
Yeah.
remember, I was amazing on that day. And
Yeah.
sometimes like I wasn't really there, or let's say my mind was somewhere else, or, we're all human, we have our thing.
Sure.
And the patient will come back and they're not as great. And I'm like, I knew that I knew it was my fault.
Yeah.
I wasn't really there. I wasn't
Yeah.
really present. I wasn't giving 100%.
Right.
Which can also be taxing, but it's so amazing to see that, everything is energy, everything is connection, everything is
Yes.
emotional.
Yes.
And everything is, I think, being the best provider, and the same with what you do, is being the best listener.
Absolutely.
Really understanding like
Yes.
why someone's in front of me and they're telling me their story.
Exactly.
They're telling me why they're in pain. So I
Yeah.
don't need to figure everything out. I can do
Right.
the biomechanical testing.
Yes.
But I need to know how did they get here. So that's the most important part of medicine. And that's
Absolutely.
how I think medicine is progressing and becoming super, super personalized.
Yes.
And it's beautiful to see that
It is,
because we're
it is.
really able to delve deep into disease. And I always tell people like disease is a mind not at
Disease.
ease.
Sure,
And
yeah,
if I
yeah.
can't figure out what you're feeling inside, then I'm
Absolutely.
not gonna know why you're expressing your pain in a certain function or form.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's a fantastic point that you just mentioned, because if you're not there fully present
Yeah.
with the patient or
Yeah.
client or whoever it is, if your mind is wandering off thinking about
Yeah.
what's coming on later in the day or what happened yesterday or a future deadline, and you zone out, then you're not fully present.
Yeah, you're not fully present.
And if you're not fully present, then you're only giving partial
Exactly.
effort, right? There may
Exactly.
be some things that you miss, some things that
Exactly.
you could have picked up on.
Exactly.
So I think that's the importance of staying present,
Yeah.
being in the now.
And that's mindfulness, right?
Mindfulness,
is all
absolutely.
about, people go all over this place about, oh my God, like mindfulness and yoga and meditation and all
Yeah.
of these just teach you how to be present,
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
unfortunately nowadays our phones take so much away from us. And
Yeah,
like
we're
I
distracted.
get messaged 24/7 by patients, by work, by colleagues, and it's so hard to be there in the room, and I'm thinking about doing my notes and I'm thinking about the next patient and I'm thinking about my,
Exactly.
But I think it's really important to bring ourselves back to the now. And even me, I was late here this morning, like rushing around and trying to do a million things at once. And I'm like, honestly, I need to not stress about what's to come. I need to think about where I am right now and bring it back to like here, I'm happy, I'm alive, I'm grateful. And that's as much as we can go.
I think
it's amazing how we're always learning and how can I translate these lessons to my patient and create a beautiful environment for everyone to heal and to grow and to feel amazing.
Absolutely. I think that's put it in a beautiful way. I think it's super true as well. And yeah, like it comes back to, what you were saying when it comes to practicing things like yoga, meditation, those things, like, for example, I had neglected my entire life, right? I had thought, so first I was never, it never was in my path at the time. And then when I got into the fitness industry, for example, I was purely a personal trainer, nutritionist, bodybuilder, macho guy, only worried about.
But even training, like I love being in the gym and I absolutely love it. And why I love it is because it brings me back to being present.
Oh yeah, it's super important.
When you're in the gym, most of the time when I'm out running, I'm not on my phone.
Yes.
I'm here, I'm feeling, I'm focusing on my body.
Yes.
And these other forms of movement are also bringing you back to feeling and being present and focusing on your body just in a different way.
Exactly.
And I think in a more slow way.
Yes.
And I think, there's no right and wrong also when it comes to movement. You can be a bodybuilder and never have to do yoga, or you can be a yogi and never have to be doing bodybuilding as long as you're aware about how you feel. And I think a lot of people, most injuries happen when we're not aware and we're not feeling and we're just powering through. And we've all been guilty of doing that, where we're just like, we're there, we have a mission, we have a goal, and we're not mindful of our system. Sometimes we don't sleep well and we wake, oh no, I still have to go to the gym. I still have to push super hard. And that's how we get injured.
Absolutely.
So I think it's most important for each one of us to understand our body. I used to have a Whoop. A lot of my friends love their Whoop. I'm not, it's like, you're not recovered today. I'm like, shut up. I'm still going to the gym, But now I go with how I feel. Like if I wake up and I don't feel good and I sleep, I'll go back to bed, or if I've told a friend I'm going to meet them, I'm like, listen, I'm not feeling great today. Can we do something super easy, or can we have a walk and coffee, or I still feel amazing, and I recover so much better. So I think it's really important that we understand ourselves and that we listen to our bodies. Of course, a lot of people listen to being super lazy, which is not a good thing, but it's really important to bring back that mindfulness and that intuition. And that can permeate into everything we do. When you're feeling super stressed and you're on the point of burnout, scale back a little bit. Take it easy, enjoy the weekend, sleeping in, going to the beach, doing things that restore you, that bring you joy. And this is real healthcare. This is not sick care.
That's holistic health.
This is exactly it.
Coming back to the yoga and meditation, as soon as I started incorporating those, so I didn't neglect the other things. I'm like, okay, so instead of doing only, lifting weights and bodybuilding and focusing only on nutrition and calories and protein and all of that, the minute, like we were talking about earlier, the minute I started to zoom out a little bit and realize, okay, I don't need to be this or that. I can incorporate all of it, right? A bit of everything. So now I enjoy lifting weights. I enjoy eating nutritious foods. Maybe I'm not as fixated on my calories as I once was before. But I'm happier now. I enjoy it more. It's less detailed. It's less stressful to me. You don't get as worked up if you went over your calories a little bit, unless you have a specific goal, of course.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's
it really
perfect.
Depends. I think most people forget, especially in this environment that can be quite competitive, that we're normal people.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all regular people.
Absolutely.
Like yes, sometimes I train for a marathon. I have a goal. Maybe I'll cut down on my weight training and my yoga because I'm running like crazy, and I'm human and I have a full-time job and you can only do so much. But we have to remember that most of us are training and moving to be better at life, to feel better. We're not all super athletes. This is not a full-time thing for us, you know. And athletes, they eat, train, sleep, repeat. And this is not what we're doing. And recover. Yet most of us are not recovering well. We have a million other things on our plate, and yet people here expect to train like athletes. And no, diversify what you do. And this is the most important thing when it comes to movement. For a regular person to be healthy, for me, is diversity. Doing a little bit of everything, I have my patients like, I only do Pilates. No, you also need to lift weights. You need to...
There you go.
impact your joints in different ways. They get different stimuluses, and that's how they're the healthiest. So it's really important that most of us are balanced.
Yes.
And same thing with food. I never believe in, I tell my patients, do not diet, you know. Like
Unless
dieting,
maybe they have a goal, if they're going
100%.
for like a specific competition or
100%.
photo shoot,
100%.
then there's a purpose for it.
100%.
Yeah.
But when you're mindful about food, you know, like I've eaten, I'm full, I don't need to eat more.
Yeah.
Or like, why am I getting cravings? You know, am I tired? Am I
Yes.
eating emotionally? Like, it's fine to have. I have chocolate every day, by the way.
Yeah,
Every
fantastic.
day.
Why not?
I need it, you know. But I'm mindful of how much I have. Like,
There
I
you
don't
go.
need to eat a whole bar of chocolate.
Yeah.
I can eat a few squares and I feel great,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Or I can have hot chocolate, or I can do something that brings me joy, because food is joy also.
Absolutely,
But we
absolutely.
don't need to restrict ourselves so much unless we
go.
have a purpose and a goal.
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you put so much pressure on yourself, when we
Yes.
already have enough pressure in life,
Yes.
these things are supposed to be our joy.
Yes.
And not our stress and our burden.
Exactly,
So looking at
exactly.
things in that way, I think.
Exactly.
But
It's
I think
just-
we all learn the hard way, right?
Absolutely, right? We live and we learn.
Yeah.
We go through a path in life.
Exactly.
And eventually we,
Yeah.
we learn from it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's born perfect, right?
No, but I think it's important that we do experience this and we do learn now, because as we age, it gets harder to incorporate new things into our routine.
Sure.
And I've seen a lot of people aging really badly and really
Right.
poorly.
Right.
And
Unless they decide to maybe turn things around
Of
at some
course.
point in their life,
It's
right?
never too
I've
late.
seen
Of
people,
course. Of
go
course.
downhill,
Of course.
and then realize like, oh, hey, this is not working for
Of
me
course.
anymore, and now I want to change things around.
100%.
Even at 40, 50, 60, 70,
100%.
it's never too late.
it's never too late.
Yeah.
But it's always better starting now.
Yes.
You know, at any age.
Yeah.
Why
When the
wait
time's
for
right.
next month or next year? Or it's always better starting now. You
Yeah.
know, because it takes the body time to adapt, and you learn and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I
Yeah.
think also at different stages in your life, different things work for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when we were in our 20s, we could have pushed so much hard with less recovery
Yes.
and do crazy stuff that now, you know, in your 30s, you're like, I cannot, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and in your 40s, you're like, I will never do that.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I know what works and what doesn't work, and I
Yeah.
don't want to burn myself out every
Yes.
day. So I think you learn and you experience, and there's different things at different times,
Yeah.
and it's just really important to enjoy it and to see how capable you are as a human. And
100%.
you know, our body is amazing, is incredible, and it does amazing things, and it's really, really good at recovery. And I always tell somebody, you know, when they get injured, they're like, "How am I gonna have this forever?"
Yeah.
I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
Like, you have to have faith in the regenerative powers of your body.
Yes.
If you learn how to take care of yourself
Yeah,
in every
absolutely,
aspect,
absolutely.
as a practitioner, I can only teach you as much as I can and
Yeah.
give you the love that your body needs, and then it's up to you to go out there and live to your best and
Yeah.
recover to your best and perform to your best.
Absolutely.
And that's how you
Yeah,
heal.
you're in control of your own
100%.
destiny, essentially.
100%. You're in control of your own health. You're in control of your own body. It's all
100%.
choices we make.
100%. And it's important to not, I think it's important to not blame anything or anyone for
Yeah.
it. I think it's good to take accountability, take, ownership for it, and take your life into your own hands, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that is actually slowing down.
Yeah.
When you slow down, I think you have time to,
Yeah.
really feel
Yeah.
what you need and what you maybe doesn't resonate with
And
you
I think
anymore.
that's probably the hardest thing here.
It is, because-
even now in summer, like
Yeah.
I came back, I'm like, I'm so excited for a slow summer. And it was like craziest days
Yeah.
of my right. It's just the pace of life of
Yeah.
being in a big city.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just in Dubai, Tamara.
No, it's
If you look at
everywhere.
all over the world, in many places we have such fast-paced societies where it's it's taught to us since
Yeah,
we're
but it's a
born.
performance society. Any
Exactly. So
performance
everything is like
society,
go. You got to get to the top now.
Yeah.
So people are, I find people are on this sort of rat race,
Yeah.
a blind rat race,
Yeah.
right? So they're sprinting to the top of the ladder,
Yeah.
and then only to realize at some point, maybe or maybe not, that hey, wait, I've been climbing this ladder all along, and maybe this ladder wasn't for me in the first place.
And it's maybe
you know?
not what I want.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But the
100%.
problem is because I think a lot of people don't slow down. It tends to, we're just climbing, like I said, we're just climbing blindly sometimes. So yeah, I think once you realize that, wait, hold on, this is what I've been told by my society and past
Yeah.
conditioning, but maybe that doesn't resonate for me.
Yeah.
And when you slow down and you start to realize, okay, hey, wait, this resonates with me and this doesn't. And then you start to flow through your own path, right? And it's a very individual path. The issue that I find sometimes is as society, we like to be in groups, which is fine. But the problem with that sometimes is that we get this group herd mentality.
Yeah.
We look around and it's like, oh, this person and this person, everybody's doing this.
Yeah.
So I want to fit in, which is normal, right? We all want to feel attached or belonged to a group or society. So we end up just following the crowd.
Yeah.
But sometimes it may not resonate for you. So I think it's important to take a step back.
Yeah.
If it does resonate for you, absolutely go ahead.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then maybe it's time to turn around and either join a different group or maybe even take your own path. It could be.
I think it's something I want to touch on, and this is something maybe you should do another podcast about with a nutritionist, but the weight loss, obsession, not only here, but also in the US, and now turning to drugs like Ozempic. And I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I cannot tell you, every day a patient walks through my door that's taking medication that they don't need. They're not pre-diabetic, they're not super overweight, they're regular people that just want to lose a few pounds really quickly without putting in the effort, and it drives me mental because I tell people, like, you first of all, you don't know long-term effects, second of all, you don't realize the effects of the medication on your insulin control, and why? Why take the easy way out of everything? There's a time and a place for everything.
Is it really the easy way out? I mean, it seems easy at first, but like you said, who knows where it leads down the line? It may
but short term, it's the easy way out.
So it may be easy short term.
A lot of people think short term with their health in so many different things. They come to us and they're like, I want to feel better now.
Yes.
But you're in pain. It took you months or years to build up to this area where you're biomechanically dysfunctional. You may feel better short term, but the pain will come back until you change your structure.
Absolutely.
And you change your biomechanics. And it takes time to do that.
Yes.
You can't always expect a quick fix for everything.
Absolutely.
Whether it's weight loss or it's biomechanical change or it's building muscle or it's becoming faster, whatever it is, Even in your career, you're not going to climb the ladder of career in a day.
Absolutely.
It takes years to build these things.
Absolutely.
And I think, unfortunately, in places that are, big cities where people are here to work and to do a certain thing, I see it in a lot of big places like this where people are just want immediate results now.
Yes.
And I think it's really important to become a little bit more realistic about it, because first of all, it puts too much stress on your system. It's unrealistic, and you're constantly in this comparison mentality. So
absolutely.
That's something that I always educate my patients, especially when it comes to the weight loss medications. It's just if you're so overweight and you understand the pressure it's going to put on your body, and you can't have
if you need it, you need it.
You need it. You need it, and I'm not against.
Yeah, absolutely. It serves a purpose
medicine.
For some.
It serves a great purpose for so many.
Yes,
but not for everyone.
Not for everyone. So, like you said, it depends on whether you need it,
or
you want it, or what's happening.
And understanding, the complications that may arise, understanding the long-term side effects, which we still don't know about.
Yes, exactly.
And honestly, it's not going to change your habit.
Sure.
Like a lot of people, that's the biggest thing, is if you don't take the put in the hard work to changing your habit, then you're going to just get off the medication, then bounce back, because this is making you nauseous and not wanting to eat now and controlling your appetite. But what happens? You're not going to be on these medications for the rest of your life. So if you don't know how to control your cravings, you don't know how to control your appetite, you don't know how to say, wait, I'm not hungry, I'm actually thirsty, or no, I shouldn't be ordering 5 Guys in every day. Like, understanding what's right and what's not right, how are you going to change long term?
Yeah, there you go.
So this is the biggest thing for me, and educating people to become independent emotionally and with the choices you make in life.
Awesome.
And it's not difficult, we live in abundance. We're so lucky to live in abundance.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean that you have to make the wrong choices every day.
Absolutely. And it comes down to looking at the root cause as opposed to the symptom.
Exactly.
Don't treat it superficially. Go deep. Go as deep as you can.
Go deep, and it's very emotional.
Yeah, of course.
It's a lot of people don't want to do the work. I had this patient tell me the other day, why are you taking it? She's like, I am addicted to sugar. I was like, well, why are you addicted to sugar? First of all, are you not eating enough calories? Maybe, because a lot of women, they don't eat enough, and then all of a sudden they're so hungry they binge eat, or they eat whatever's in front of them, and to gratify their emotion, it's usually sugar.
Yes.
So maybe you need to focus on seeing a nutritionist so that you actually feel full.
Right.
And you feel satiated. Or maybe you can have water, or switch out your sugar. I had sugar cravings for the longest time. I started replacing it with a protein shake. At least it's something better for me.
Right.
And then slowly cutting out the protein shake, because it gave me that sugar fix. But then I'm like, at least I'm not having junky sugar. At least I'm having something that's relatively good for me.
Yeah.
And why am I craving sweet? Oh yeah, I'm not eating enough.
Right.
I'd fast all morning and then
Yes.
get so hungry and like binge. So
Right.
I knew why I was doing what I was doing.
Exactly.
So it's really not that difficult,
Right,
you know.
right.
Humans are so simple
Yes.
in how we function. So
Yeah,
I think
we overcomplicate things
Yeah.
for no reason sometimes.
for no reason. And we're in a day and age where there's so much information out there.
Right.
It's easy to try different
Yes.
things. One day you hear this is great for you. One day you hear that is great for you. One day you hear don't do this. One day you hear,
Right.
And I think it's important to learn what works for us, and it's not that difficult.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to make that choice.
And I think the key point is what you said, work for us, right? Like we were touching on throughout this entire episode was what works for you.
Yeah.
Not for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's something that's really, really important.
Right, right. The next question I had was, I don't know if you have any common issues that you guys face in disc, like something that's super prevalent, super common that you see very often. And maybe back pain.
Back pain.
Sure.
That's 90% of what we see,
Right. And how would you advise people to prevent it, first of all, before getting to the treatment, prevention, and then if it's not prevented, how do you treat it?
Well, first of all, why are we getting the pain?
Yeah.
Most people, we sit too much. Even if we train, a lot of us train in the morning or in the evening, but 90% of the day we're sitting. Not everyone is as lucky as us to be standing and moving around all day. So people
Right.
are sitting all day, super compressive. You're not getting enough blood flow. And
Yes.
honestly, what we do as therapists is just increase blood flow in the body. We stimulate the joint receptors, which turns off pain.
Right.
So it's so simple to try to be more active in our day, not get so lazy with ordering food and ordering. Get up, walk
Yeah.
to the grocery store, move a little bit, even
Yeah.
if it's 50 degrees outside.
Right.
5 minutes of movement is not going to kill you,
Right, right.
So try
Guilty
to
of that.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah.
But let's try to make more conscious choices that serve our body.
Yeah.
Take the stairs when you can. It's just movement.
Yeah.
Or some people on the other spectrum are overtraining,
Yeah.
and they're not doing enough mobility work. So honestly, that's more the minority of the people. The
Right.
majority is very sedentary lifestyles.
Sure.
We sit a lot, we're in the car a lot, and so things just tense up, and they don't have the right muscle to support. Especially low back pain, people are sitting, they say sitting is the new smoking.
Right.
Sitting is not dangerous like smoking. We're all
Right.
meant to sit.
Yeah.
But sitting is very compressive.
Yes.
And that's why it creates a lot of tension and issues in our low
Right,
back because you
right.
don't have enough circulation.
Sure. Unless you're meditating.
Yes, exactly. So other than that,
Yeah.
try to get up every hour, walk around, stretch out a little bit, get more movement in your body.
Yeah.
And that avoids pain completely.
Right, right.
But some people are in bad biomechanical position, and there's no right and wrong when it comes to posture biomechanics. We've learned
Right.
that over the years. But you need to constantly introduce stimulus into your body
Yes.
to get the blood flowing, which helps, innervate the muscles and the nerves and the joints, and that's how you prevent pain.
Right.
So it's super, super simple.
Right.
Unfortunately, most people don't do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess to almost, sort of wrap up the episode, I think, throughout the podcast episode today, the main sort of point that we discussed is if we were to give general recommendations to the general public, I guess we touched on this already, but I would what's your general recommendations to the Gen Pop? How to basically take care of yourself.
Honestly, surround yourselves with people that make you better. That's
Yeah.
number one.
Good point.
Like you said, we're all part of a community. And if you're not, challenging yourself, if your friends are always out drinking and partying and
Yeah.
don't stimulate, a lot of my friends come to me, our patients are like,
Yeah.
I wish I had friends like you that are
Right,
active.
right.
And
You can have
honestly,
friends, yeah.
we live in a city where there's so much diversity.
Absolutely.
I
I think there always is,
lucky.
honestly. There's
We-
always the power to choose for most people.
There's always a power to choose. I have so many different movement communities. I have my yoga community. I have my running community. I have my CrossFit community. I find communities that make me better.
Yeah.
And I push myself, and I always don't want to be the strongest link in the room. I want to be the weakest link in the room, and
Yeah.
I want to learn and I want to grow. So
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is surrounding yourself with people that challenge you and push you.
Absolutely.
And where you can learn, because
Absolutely.
a lot of us are not learning all the time. We're in
Yeah.
our jobs or, we're watching TV but be in an environment where you can learn, where you can grow. That's number one. Number two, simplify your life.
Yeah.
Life can get so busy, but like even when it comes to training, simplify what you can do.
Right.
I choose to move every day for 45 minutes.
Yeah, awesome.
Sometimes I'm not, sometimes I'm not self-motivating, so I go to classes.
Yeah.
It's great. There's
Yeah.
so much here, and there's so much that you can learn from.
Absolutely.
Doesn't need to be super crazy, but go with how you feel.
Absolutely.
the third most important thing is, focus on your sleep. Sleep is so important.
Yep.
I should have said sleep before everything, but sleep is the most important. And a lot of us don't sleep enough here. Prioritize getting, 8 hours consistently.
And quality sleep as well.
Quality sleep,
I think
where you're not on your phone all the time before you sleep.
Not super caffeinated right before falling asleep.
100%. Try to sleep more consistently at the same time around, every day. I used to sleep always like, 9 at 10 p.m. and the weekend comes and it's like 2 a.m. I just don't do that anymore. I try to be more consistent throughout the week.
Exactly.
You sleep and you wake up at the same time.
Yeah.
Create little routines for yourself where you can really slow down, where you learn how to say no to a lot of things.
I think that's super important, actually.
It's really important.
Saying no and staying true to your truth and your power is super important. And unfortunately nowadays in society, people are groomed to be people pleasers sometimes. So it's like it gets them anxious to say no,
100%.
and they'd rather go with the wrong crowd
100%.
as opposed to saying no and using that as a springboard to jump higher.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Say no, slow down. Find what really works for you. Find what's, a lot of us know what doesn't serve us, and a lot of us know what we need to be better.
Yes.
We just don't put in that time and effort. It's just always the first step that's the hardest, and when you take it, it's so much easier.
Absolutely.
Move as much as you can.
Right.
Optimize your movement.
Yeah.
I've always moved, but I've also learned from people that are, so much better than me and tell me, no, like this is not, you're doing too much.
Right.
Or, when it comes back to training, simplify your training.
Yeah.
You don't need to do a million different things, squat, lunge, lift, do the basics, and, you're not training for the Olympics.
Yep.
Focus on what you can do and do it well, and rest as much as you can.
Yeah.
Eat well,
Yep.
Love a lot, surround yourself by people and things that make you
kind to
happy.
people.
And that's the most important thing in the world,
Absolutely.
when it
It
comes
really
to your
is.
health.
Really is.
And just learn that when you're in a bad place with your health or with anything in life, it's not permanent.
Absolutely.
And I always look at pain. I tell my patients always when they come in, they're like, oh, I'm in so much pain and it sucks. And I'm like, it's a great thing. You should be so excited. And they're like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you should be, because your body's talking to you. It's telling you something.
Listen to it.
This is an amazing chance to grow, to learn from this issue and to grow so that you don't get this for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
This is amazing. So
100%. Sometimes we need to, sort of go down. It's like a slingshot sometimes in life, right? We need to pull back.
Exactly.
But if we're not looking at it holistically and we're only focused on the backward portion, we're like, oh, why is this happening to me?
Exactly.
My life sucks.
Exactly.
Why me? I'm miserable, whatever. Whereas, who knows, maybe down the line, that springboard, that slingshot gets released, and then you propel way higher.
Always,
so
it always will.
Important to zoom out a little bit.
Exactly. Zoom out a little bit, get help when you need it, ask for help when you need it, and just say, why am I going through this? Okay, well, how do I change what I'm doing?
Yeah.
How do I modify so that I don't feel this way? This way that isn't very pleasant, but it's an educational journey. And how do I move myself forward? So
absolutely. Awesome, Tamara. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure.
It was a beautiful episode. Thank you so much for sharing all that you did today.
Thank you.
Hopefully it can help reach some people.
I hope so too.
And help some people. And yeah, that's the whole point of why we're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Have a wonderful day. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Cool.